Hi.
Welcome to Solo Travel TV. This is Yogita Ridgley. I am the CEO and the founder of Traveling with Me, Myself, and I. Today I have a beautiful lady who is very well traveled and going to share all her insights on how to solo travel safe and how to solo travel smart with all of us. Welcome, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Yogita?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's start with sharing a little bit about you, Sarah. What do you do? Where are you from? Just a little bit about you, so the what everyone that's watching get to know you.
Well, I'm originally from Singapore, and I lived in Tokyo in my early 20s for about 6 years. I was studying there, and I was working there, and then I finished my degree in Sydney in nursing, and I came back here and I started working here. So I've been nursing for a long time now. About 20 years, and I work at the Prince of Wales Hospital, and I'm still working there. So really now Australia is my home, but I go back and visit my family in Singapore quite often. I haven't in over a year because of COVID, but it's one thing that I do a lot of is travel, yeah, and visit, and I have friends all over the world, and I do enjoy it.
Excellent. Australia is a beautiful place to call home, so we
It
can't
is.
too much about that. Now, Sarah, let's start with the very first solo travel experience. Where did you
Mm-hmm.
go and how did you feel?
Well, I was living in Japan for a long time, and I was really living in a country where you don't speak English. So I had to, start studying the language and speaking in Japanese to understand what was going on. So that was pretty much a very alone experience. But my first solo travel will probably be around Asia. I went to Bali by myself, and I went to Bali to do yoga, to go on a yoga retreat and do things on my own. And it was fabulous because, you just meet a lot of people who travel like you on their own, and you get to spend time with them, and you get to do things on your own time. You're not stuck with somebody and on their schedule. So those things were quite important, meeting people, new people, and doing things on your own schedule.
Yeah,
And Bali was my first one, and then it went from there.
excellent.
Yeah.
It sounds exciting. Bali is not an easy place to travel alone by far.
Hmm.
Obviously, you dived into the deep end. What was it like in terms of emotions? And did you feel, a bit of anxiety or scared or anything like that with your first experience?
Yes, I think as a woman, you do. You feel your safety is really important, and you're just more aware, of being a woman and being on your own. But it's also very empowering. You learn to think about what you want to do. You're not as reckless, and you plan your days well. And I don't tend to go out wandering around at night or wander around in lonely streets. So, and I also, made sure that wherever I was staying, that it was safe. And I kept in touch with people, whether it was by Facebook or however way, and people always knew where I was. So those things you learn along the way, you know. Yeah. So.
Absolutely, yeah. I One of the things that I know that makes solo traveling such an experience
Mm,
that has got highs and lows is the fact that we all love to get to know more of what we like without somebody else's input, without somebody else's influence. And like you said, you know, you were on your own timetable, and you know,
Yes.
very aware. So you were totally responsible for what was happening instead of relying on other people having your back. So that is absolutely great skills to have in life in general, not just when you're traveling. So my next question, Sarah, what was maybe a couple of things that you really love about solo traveling?
I guess the one thing I really like about solo travel is you put yourself out there a bit. You know, you meet people and people approach you because you're on your own, and you actually meet very interesting people, and it's amazing that, you know, you'll find that you're not the only one solo traveling. A lot of people solo travel.
Yeah.
And when you are with someone, you're traveling, whether you're traveling with a, a partner, a boyfriend, or with another girlfriend, you tend to just want to, you know, chat with that person. You know, you don't kind of allow someone else into your space. Whereas when you're on your own, you can allow people in and out of your space, which is lovely, and you can choose. You can pick and choose who you want to be with, and yeah, and it opens up a lot of opportunities. I've made some wonderful friendships along the way, really, and I still keep in touch with them, you know, and you share really beautiful moments with the local people as well. And because you're on your own, and as a woman, people are not they're not you don't come across as intimidating, and they actually allow you into their home, their space. They want you to meet their families, which is wonderful. And I have met so many people, and they've all go, oh, why don't you come and have dinner with my mom or my dad or whatever. And that is really nice. You live like a local. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you are very right in saying how when you travel in groups or even with someone else, you never actually meet other people because you already have company. But when you're actually traveling alone,
Yeah.
once you're alone, you make the effort to talk to other people, and the
Yeah.
experience is just, it's priceless. I love
It is.
how you make more friends, and then everywhere you go, like, you have that authentic experience by you know, visiting somebody's house for dinner, and
Yeah.
people take you under their wings and say, oh, come on, I'll show you around, and you all of a sudden you've got a local guide, so to speak. So
Yes.
yes, that's an amazing insight on what one of my favorite things to do as well, to, you know, hang out with local people. Sometimes I even almost invite myself to their houses instead of them inviting me. So it's an experience for sure. Now, as always in life, we have got things that we really love, and then we have things that we don't like. What is one of the things you would say about solo traveling that you don't like?
Well, I guess you do have periods where you feel a bit lonely, and you look at something amazing and you go, oh, I wish I could share this with someone. You know, when you're on your own, you know, sometimes you like, it'd be nice to share this with somebody. You know, and the other thing also is, I guess, the cost. You know, when you're doing things on your own, it's not cost efficient. Um, and I guess the third thing is, as a woman, especially I find that when I'm going through airports sometimes, you you know, you get questioned a fair bit. You know, there people wonder why, you know, why you're on your own, and you know, because they're so not used to women traveling on their own. You know, like when I went to New Caledonia, I remember I went there on my own. I flew from Sydney to New Caledonia, and I was going there diving, scuba diving. I'm a scuba diver. And everyone on that plane, when we boarded off that plane, it was all couples except me. I was on my own. So I was the only one who got pulled aside by the customs, and they went through everything. They were like, why are you here? Like, you're on your own. And I'm like, well, why not? I'm here to scuba. It was just, you know, it was like, this is a honeymoon destination. Why are you here on your own? I'm like, well, it's not really, because there are places you can stay in Noumea, which is not honeymoon accommodation style. So that was a bit annoying, you know, and they actually went through my wallet and then they found my diver's license and they were speaking French and I understood them and they said, yes, well, she is a diver, as she says. And I had dive equipment in my suitcase as well, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's a bit annoying, I think, you know. But I think now I think people are getting used to the fact that there are a lot of people traveling on their own, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
It's one
absolutely.
of those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you are right. When you are the odd one out, you do get
Mm-hmm.
and especially
Yeah.
customs. I found also in restaurants as well, if you're alone, they normally
Mm.
wait for tables longer because they give table for 4, table for 2, table for 6, and
Yeah.
the table for 1 keeps on waiting for as long as they can
Mm.
be waiting. So, which is the things that we just put up with because there's really nothing you can do.
I had also a very annoying experience in Egypt, actually. So I was traveling in Egypt with friends, and then we all separated. We all went to various countries. So I ended up being on my own for, I think it was a night in Cairo, on my way back to Singapore, and I was staying at the Hilton, the Nile Hilton, and because I was on my own, it was pretty awful. They were the hotel staff were talking to each other, and they said, "Oh, she's on her own." And when I went upstairs to the rooftop for dinner, they would, they made me very uncomfortable. So I just ate very quickly and I left and I stayed in my room. And then the next day I left pretty much quickly because I was just felt really I was very uncomfortable the whole time I was there, to be honest. Yeah.
I have,
So
I have
that wasn't very pleasant.
yeah, I have to add this. I think it is also the cultural difference. Like when you travel in Australia,
Mm.
America, New Zealand, Europe, England alone, it's not so much as they will make you feel uncomfortable. But in other countries like India, Egypt, and places like that, they're not used to women doing anything on their own. So
No.
when women are traveling alone, um, they, I think, kind of like a little bit intrigued and also a little bit like, why would you want to do that? and it's one of the things that I have experienced with all my traveling, that places like that you do feel like they are talking about you and they don't understand what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and so forth. But in hindsight, I tend to just try and make jokes of things, and then before they know it, they're telling their own stories why they do what they do instead of me telling them what I'm doing here. So yeah,
Yeah.
now my next question, Sarah, and I'm quite excited about this because I really want to hear your experience on this. What's one place that you've been to that has literally changed you as a person? The experience has just literally stuck with you for life. You've, like, after that experience or after visiting that country, you haven't been the same person.
Well, I think I've had a few, but let me see which one strikes the most. Well, I guess when I was, well, actually, it was probably here in Australia. I did the Lara Pinta trek, which
Okay.
starts in Alice Springs and ends in Mount Saunders.
Okay.
And I basically, you just walked every day. You averaged about between 13 to 16 or 17 kilometers a day. You just walked. And for me, that was because you're in nature. You're just in the outback, and it's just so beautiful and so peaceful. And you are with your thoughts, walking, and it's just one foot in front of the other. And even though there was a group, it was a small group, I was on my own, because I booked it as a single person. And at night, you just had your tent and you just slept in your tent. And that was, to me, actually beautiful experience, knowing that, you know, I'm okay with my thoughts, just walking every day and just being in nature, being quiet. And, you know, if I wanted to speak to the other people, I could. If I didn't, I could just wander off and do my own thing. And it was a beautiful experience. I loved it very much. And yeah, I think that's one of the experiences that just sticks to mind, you know. And I love doing walking trails, just you and nature. Um,
Absolutely.
and we did
Let's
the
about that.
sunrise hike up Mount Sonder. When you start at 3 in the morning, and it was so cold, and you're literally walking in pitch black up this mountain, you know, on a ridge. Like, you can't even see that ridge. And then as you're going up there, it gets lighter, and you watch the sunrise come, and you're just on your own watching this. And it's just amazing. And at that point, uh, I just felt this is what we need to do. We need to experience that on our own,
Yeah,
with your thoughts, you know,
absolutely.
and be comfortable with it.
Yes.
And also, I remember looking down the you know, down at this beautiful landscape that has been there for billions of years, because you're in the outback, and you know, you look at the grooves of the mountains, and it's just been there changing billions of years. You just feel so insignificant, you know, like your
Yeah.
time on this planet is so short
Yes.
compared to this landscape. And you really feel at that moment that, wow, I'm only here for such a brief time, really. You know, what am I worried about?
Yes.
I'm only here. This is all going to be here for a very, very long time. And
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to have experienced this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, that just makes you feel, you know what, you'll be right. You know, you just do what you need to do in your short time here. Everything else is insignificant. Enjoy this beauty while you're here. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that was yeah, beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, like always, you don't have to go far to enjoy the beauty
No, it's
around
in
us.
your backyard.
It
Yeah.
is absolutely. I love that story. I actually have goosebumps listening to you talk about it. Obviously, it has
Really?
literally changed you as a person. And I love nature as well. Nature
Yeah.
hikes and spending time in hiking and things like that.
Yeah.
Camping, it's amazing. And like you said, the best thing for solo traveler and the reason why people go solo traveling is literally to be with your own thoughts and be
Yes.
scared with the fact that your thoughts can be your best friend. Whereas most of us, we actually surround ourselves with people continuously non-stop to avoid the fact
Mm,
that
mm.
we will be left with our own thoughts, and we're scared of that. So Sarah, my
Mm.
last question for you, obviously your great advice for anybody who is thinking of going solo traveling, hasn't done one yet, has been sitting on the fence, should I go, should I not go, I'm scared, I'm anxious. What would your advice be for that person?
My advice would be, it's okay to be anxious. You know, it's okay to feel a bit scared, but just do it. Just do it. Do your research. Find a place you really want to visit. Do your research. Plan it and do it. Plan it and execute it. Do it. And I would advise going into nature and switching off your devices, sitting with your thoughts, listening to the birds in the morning, because your senses get so heightened. You know, just you look around you because you've switched off from your devices, and then you're seeing more, you're hearing more, smelling more. You know, and put yourself out there. You know, you'll find that you'll get addicted. You know, you will. And go there with an open heart, and you know, be open and be receiving, and you'll find that even you give out that vibe, you attract the really lovely people, and you just find that it just brings more to your experience. Yeah, do it. If you haven't already, I highly recommend it. It's almost it's almost a religious experience. That's how I look at it, you know.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I love that that you have said that. When you actually have that open heart, because a lot of people, their biggest fear with solo traveling is that they will get, you know, haggled by people who are taking advantage of them and things like that. But in my experience, and I've spoken to many, many, many solo travelers, they have all said that once you open that heart and allow the beauty to just sink in, you start to
Mm-hmm.
attract that beauty in other people around you as well. And you won't
Yes.
encounter anybody that is dangerous. But, you know, always be aware, because there are people around like that that will take advantage of the fact. But if you're not attracting them, you won't encounter them. So you will just be doing your own thing and, you know, not be even affected by any of those things. But
Mm.
like Sarah said, do your research. And you know, I have amazing amount of information on like free blogs on my website, so feel free to take advantage of that. And the Solo Travel TV is done just for that information. It's all these information from people who have traveled solo, insights on their experiences, highs and lows. So take advantage of all these information and then tailor make it to what your personality is, what your limits are, and what will make you feel really good about solo traveling. So yes, if you're thinking about it, don't sit on it. Like Sarah said, plan it and then execute it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah, so much.
Yeah.
Any last advice or great tip on anything that you want to leave everyone with?
I think your attitude. If you go with a very good positive attitude is everything in life, I feel. Go traveling with a positive mind, a good attitude. You know, expect things not to work your way, but go with the flow, because that's the challenge. And if things don't go your way, take it as a challenge. You know, sometimes your flight may get delayed or it might get cancelled. So understand that you make room for things that may not go right and just flow with it. And you know, it's a metaphor for life. You have obstacles along the way, you negotiate around it, and you come out the other side and go, wow, that was nothing, you know. And yeah, you just get more out of it. So yeah, I mean, that's how I go through life, you know. I expect things to not go smooth sailing, but when it does, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll deal with it. And you just deal with it. Yeah. So
Absolutely. Excellent,
that's
excellent.
my advice.
Great place to leave this interview. Thank you so much for your time, Sarah. Thank you guys
You're
for
welcome.
watching. We are obviously, everything about this channel is for empowering women, educating women, and inspiring women to solo travel. And this is all done for good mental health. And the best thing for good mental health is really connecting within. Like on this particular episode, we talked about spending time with nature and with your thoughts. That is one of the best things you can do for your mental health. So do subscribe to this channel and do share this with friends and family. And happy solo traveling. Thank you for watching.